When the Cleveland Browns made their first two picks in the 2025 NFL Draft, an offensive tackle and a wide receiver, a lot of people shrugged. Some fans were confused. Some analysts were skeptical. And the doubters were loud, flooding comment sections and sports radio with takes about how Cleveland looked scattered, unfocused, and without a clear direction. But here is the thing that those people are missing, and it is something the sharper football minds have already started pointing out. What looked like a disconnected draft strategy to the outside world is now revealing itself to be one of the most deliberate, most calculated roster-building approaches we have seen out of Cleveland in years. Every single move, every single pick, every single decision points in one clear direction, and that direction has a name. That name is Shedeur Sanders. Before getting into the expert analysis and the pushback against the skeptics, it is important to establish exactly what the Cleveland Browns actually did in this draft, because context matters enormously here. Coming into the draft, the Browns had a very specific problem on their roster. Their defense was elite, arguably one of the best units in the entire NFL. Their offense, however, had been the Achilles heel of the franchise, and everyone inside that building knew it. The coaching staff knew it. The front office knew it. The players knew it. So the question entering draft weekend was straightforward. How does Cleveland fix an offense that has held back a dominant defensive roster from reaching its true potential? Their answer came in two moves. The first pick was Spencer Fono, an offensive tackle out of the University of Utah, a massive, technically refined lineman who delivered one of the most impressive pass protection seasons in recent college football history. The second pick was Kevin Concepcion, a wide receiver taken in the first round, a pass-catching weapon who had already proven he could produce at the highest level against elite competition, including in the SEC. And then here is the detail that truly makes everything click into place. Throughout the entire draft process, the Browns showed zero meaningful interest in drafting or signing another quarterback. They did not kick the tires on veteran backup options. They did not quietly explore a quarterback room overhaul. They went offense, yes, but they targeted skill positions and protection, not a new signal caller. That silence from the front office is not nothing. That silence is actually saying everything about where this franchise is headed. Former NFL quarterback Chase Daniel has been one of the most vocal and coherent voices making sense of what Cleveland is doing, and he is not buying the skepticism for a single second. Daniel's core point is straightforward. This draft looks different from Cleveland's drafts in recent memory because it genuinely is different. There is no second-guessing embedded in these picks. There is no hedging. The Browns came into draft weekend knowing exactly which players they wanted, and they went and got those players. That kind of clarity and conviction is rare in the NFL, especially for a franchise that has experienced its share of chaotic front office decisions and unclear roster philosophies over the years. But Chase Daniel went even further than just praising the conviction of the picks, and this is where his analysis gets truly valuable. He pointed out that Shedeur Sanders looks like a significantly better fit for Todd Monken's offensive system than he ever did for the scheme he played in during his college career. Monken runs a spread-style offense, 4 wide receivers spread across the formation, space created horizontally, designed to get the quarterback operating in clean, open structures, and built to exploit matchups on the perimeter. It is a fast, modern offensive system that plays directly to the strengths of a mobile, quick-processing quarterback who can read defenses efficiently and get the ball out with timing and accuracy. Shedeur Sanders fits that description precisely. His quick release, his football IQ, his ability to work through progressions in spread environments, all of it maps directly onto what Monken is building in Cleveland. Daniel's assessment was not simply a compliment to Sanders. It was a blueprint observation. The personnel and the scheme are being constructed around each other, and the fit is not coincidental. Then there is former Browns wide receiver T.J. Houshmandzadeh, whose take on the situation deserves its own dedicated discussion because of how logically clean and practically grounded it is. Houshmandzadeh's message was not complicated, and that is precisely what makes it so effective. He essentially said this: the Browns do not need to build the most explosive offense in the NFL. They do not need to become the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills in terms of offensive firepower. That is not the goal. That is not the identity of this team, and it never has been. The identity of the Cleveland Browns is defense. It has always been defense. What the offense needs to accomplish is comparatively simple: score around 21 points per game. 3 touchdowns. If this offense can consistently reach that number, and with a strong defense doing what it does, Cleveland is in position to win 8, 10, maybe 12 games in a regular season. And in today's NFL, a team that wins that many games is a playoff team. Houshmandzadeh's framing completely reframes the pressure on Shedeur Sanders. The pressure on him is not to be Patrick Mahomes. The pressure is to be consistent, to be smart, to manage the game effectively, to protect the football, to hit the open receiver on time, and to let the defense win games from the other side of the ball. That is a role Sanders can grow into, particularly with the right pieces being assembled around him right now. This framework is also exactly why the specific draft picks make such enormous sense. You do not need a dominant offensive line to run a 50-point offense. You need a dominant offensive line so that your young quarterback has time to step up, survey the field clearly, and go through his progressions without getting hit before the play develops. Spencer Fono addresses that need directly. And you do not need a first-round wide receiver to be a superhero who single-handedly carries the passing game. You need one to give your quarterback a reliable, versatile weapon who can line up in multiple alignments, create separation with his feet, and make plays on both early downs and critical third downs. Concepcion addresses that need directly. The math is simple. The vision is clear. And the picks reflect both. Spencer Fono specifically deserves a thorough breakdown, because his numbers from Utah are genuinely impressive and paint a clear picture of what the Browns are actually getting from this pick. Fono stands at approximately 6 foot 5 1/2 inch and weighs 311 pounds, giving him the size and length necessary to anchor an edge in pass protection against NFL-caliber speed rushers. He started all 12 games at right tackle during his 2025 junior season and was remarkably consistent from the first snap of the season to the last. Across more than 350 pass-blocking snaps, a substantial workload, Fono surrendered just 5 total pressures, 5 hurries, and 0 sacks allowed. An entire season of college football and not a single sack given up. That level of pass protection consistency is elite by any measurable standard. Beyond the individual numbers, consider the team context he operated in. Utah's offense averaged over 40 points per game while Fono was anchoring that edge. They also had one of the top rushing attacks in the country, and run game effectiveness at the offensive line level requires the ability to move defenders in tight spaces, something Fono demonstrated consistently throughout the season. When Todd Monken was pressed by reporter Mary Kay Cabot on whether the team had considered other options at that position, his answer was immediate and unambiguous: they wanted Spencer Fono. No deliberation. No alternative being floated. No committee process. Just a direct, confident statement of intent. That kind of decisive ownership of a decision sends a clear message, to the locker room, to the fanbase, and to the player himself. Concepcion's college career trajectory is one of the genuinely impressive stories in the entire 2025 draft class, and his resume demands attention. Concepcion did not ease into college football slowly. He stepped in immediately and started producing, earning ACC Rookie of the Year honors and Freshman All-American recognition in his very first season. That kind of immediate production at the college level is a reliable indicator of football instincts and the ability to process the game quickly at a high level. Then he made the decision to transfer to Texas A&M for the 2025 season, entering the SEC, one of the most physically demanding conferences in college football, and he did not miss a beat whatsoever. Across 13 starts at Texas A&M, Concepcion caught 61 passes for 919 yards and 9 touchdowns. He also contributed 75 rushing yards and a score on the ground, which speaks to the kind of versatility and willingness to contribute in multiple ways that coaches at the next level genuinely value. His performance that season earned him first-team All-American honors and first-team All-SEC recognition as both a wide receiver and an all-purpose player, a remarkable dual distinction. And then came the Paul Hornung Award, given annually to the most versatile player in all of college football. Concepcion won it in his very first SEC season. Now consider that profile in the context of what Shedeur Sanders actually needs around him in Cleveland. Sanders does not need a traditional number one receiver who demands double coverage on every single play in year one of his NFL career. He needs a smart, quick, versatile player who can line up in multiple spots across the formation, create separation with his feet and his route running, and make plays after the catch in space. Concepcion fits that profile precisely, and the analysts who have studied this pick closely are not surprised at all by it landing in Cleveland. One of the most underrated dimensions of this entire situation is how Todd Monken has conducted himself throughout this process, and what his leadership style signals about the culture being built inside Cleveland's organization. Monken does not hedge. He does not offer the kind of corporate non-answers that are designed to sound meaningful while actually saying nothing. When he speaks about personnel decisions and roster construction, there is a directness to his communication that has been genuinely refreshing for a fan base that has been starved for that kind of confident, clear-eyed leadership. The Spencer Fono moment captures it perfectly. One question from a reporter. One answer. We wanted Spencer Fono. Done. No committee being cited. No waffling about options considered. That is a head coach who trusts his evaluation process, trusts his staff's assessments, and is comfortable standing behind his decisions in public. That energy matters in ways that go beyond the draft room. Players notice it. Locker rooms feel the difference between a coaching staff that projects certainty and one that projects uncertainty. For a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, who is entering a new professional environment and trying to establish himself at the highest level of football, having a head coach who projects stability and conviction is genuinely invaluable. Monken has also been public about his character-based evaluation standards, emphasizing toughness, physical ability, and character as the primary criteria in building his roster. Both Fono and Concepcion check those boxes by the evidence of their college careers. These were not flashy picks designed to generate hype. These were calculated selections made because they match a specific standard that the coaching staff has clearly defined. So the real question becomes this: is what the Browns are building actually a legitimate path to the playoffs in 2025? The honest answer, based on the pieces being assembled, is that it genuinely could be, and the logic supporting that projection is more sound than the skeptics are giving it credit for. The Browns' defense is already built and already proven. It does not need dramatic reconstruction or significant upgrades. It needs to be maintained, kept healthy, and asked to do what it already knows how to do. The offensive line, with Fono added into the mix, has real potential to become a genuine strength rather than the liability it has been in recent seasons. Protection is everything in the modern NFL. When a quarterback has time to throw, good things happen. When he does not, nothing works regardless of talent. The receiving core, now with Concepcion added as a legitimate weapon, gives Sanders a reliable option to work with alongside whatever else this team develops around him. And Shedeur Sanders himself, operating in a system that fits his skill set, working under a coaching staff that has a history of developing quarterbacks, and protected by an offensive line being actively upgraded, has a real opportunity to demonstrate exactly what he is capable of at the next level. Houshmandzadeh's 21 points formula is not glamorous. It will not dominate highlight reels. But it is practical, it is realistic, and in a league where you do not need to outscore everyone, you just need to outlast them. A defense-first team that can consistently hit 21 points is a dangerous team. 8 wins, 10 wins, maybe more. A wild card spot. A playoff appearance where a young roster gains experience. That is not fantasy. That is a reasonable projection based on the pieces being put in place. Now, the doubters deserve a direct response, because dismissing skepticism entirely is not honest analysis. Some people look at these picks and argue the Browns are throwing talent at the wall. Some say the Shedeur Sanders connection is being overblown by media narratives. Some say there is still too much uncertainty in how this roster fits together on the field. And to a point, that is fair. Not a single snap has been played yet. Projections can be wrong. Results are what ultimately matter in the NFL. But the specific argument that this draft is random or undirected simply does not hold up to scrutiny anymore. The pattern is too clear. The personnel decisions are too specific to the needs of a young quarterback. The coaching staff's communication has been too consistent throughout the process. You do not add an elite pass-protecting offensive tackle and a first-round versatile wide receiver in the same draft by accident when your young quarterback's development is the central question surrounding your entire franchise. This is intentional. This is a plan. And the analysts and former players who have been paying serious attention, Chase Daniel, Houshmandzadeh, and others, are saying exactly that with confidence and with receipts to back it up. The Cleveland Browns entered this draft with a problem, an offense that was not good enough to support a dominant defense. They left this draft with an elite pass-protecting offensive tackle in Spencer Fono, a versatile first-round wide receiver in Kevin Concepcion, and a clear organizational signal that Shedeur Sanders is their quarterback going forward. Every pick made sense within a coherent framework. Every decision reflected a specific standard of evaluation. And every piece of communication from Todd Monken has projected clarity and conviction rather than confusion. Now the real question is yours to answer. Do you think Todd Monken has built something genuinely real in Cleveland, or is it still too early to believe in what this franchise is doing? Can Shedeur Sanders take full advantage of the setup and turn the Browns into a legitimate playoff contender in 2025? And does Houshmandzadeh's 21 points win formula actually hold up in today's NFL, or does Cleveland ultimately need more offensive firepower to compete at the highest level? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this channel is built for the fans who actually watch the film, study the moves, and understand what it takes to build a winner in the modern NFL. And if this breakdown gave you something real to think about, smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, because we drop NFL analysis, draft breakdowns, and quarterback coverage that connects the dots the mainstream media consistently fails to connect. We will see you in the next one.